Hi guys, so today we're gonna check out the Croods A New Age trailer. It's been 7 years since the first movie came out. I'm actually kind of surprised that this movie still released this year. And I mean, they even pushed back the release date to even closer, which is on Thanksgiving, I believe, Thanksgiving week. So the movie looks it looks like a good sequel. The animation looks really good. Um, I mean, I've always been a fan of Ryan Reynolds, so it's nice to have him back as the guy. And what do you think, Stormy?
I just think this is really interesting. I mean, obviously the first movie had its own scope, but I guess like
Yeah,
them finding like an entire like new area or like new like I guess you could call it like new like utopia kind of thing is really interesting. And also, you're taking older characters that I guess historically are less technological and adding new characters who are more technological, but not like by a lot. It's giving a new like look to the movie series, which I'm guessing may be built on later on. I don't know if that's true. Like, I don't know if that's what their plan is, but it's interesting to have new characters like in an environment like this, especially like that's so open, and obviously you hear in the trailer kind of like why they do what they do, but it's interesting to see a new environment and that they brought a movie like this back after so many years.
yeah, and I've always been a fan, or like, I've never been against DreamWorks movies. I've sort of feel like been the more edgy side of like family sort of movies when it comes to animation.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they go more yeah, like Shrek for example. Like that's pretty out of the box. Like and Disney's all about going like straight forward like with like the whole romance thing or like whatever the theme is like they don't usually go thinking out of the box. And I think this whole like Croods film, like the first one, I was a really big fan of, and I mean, I'm happy that after 7 long years, they're making a sequel, and yeah, it looks good. At first, I thought it was gonna be sort of like a generic looking movie, like where um like this new girl comes in and the guy starts hanging out with that girl more, and then the her girl friend got jealous, and then it would just become like that whole generic kid movie. But it's nice to see that it's not looking like it's gonna be that.
Yeah,
Stormy, what do you think?
Yeah, I was also gonna comment on the fact that it clearly looks like a new adventure. Obviously, a new like scope. Maybe like I wouldn't say like maybe setting up sequels, but possibly. I mean, obviously we don't see a lot in the trailers, so we don't know. But to comment on the whole DreamWorks thing that you brought up, like yeah, it's been the more edgier side for the most part, and it's kind of interesting because we're seeing a new side of the characters, obviously with new characters involved. So that changes the scope, that changes the like the size, the what potentially could be uh, like bettered and the not only the film series, which I guess it is now, but even the universe that they built, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and also like changing topics kind of. I think it's kind of bold that Universal and DreamWorks like decided to release this movie even sooner than its original release date, which was in December. And I could be wrong about this, but maybe that shows that the release of Trolls 2 on VOD was a good strategy for them um cuz this movie isn't isn't, I mean, theaters aren't open in most of the world. So, I mean, it's kind of like a big, like, what if because of the box office.
Yeah, and also as you can kind of clearly see, it sets a new tone. So it may be what they're going for intentionally. We don't know. Uh, Obviously we can't tell just from the trailer. So maybe it'll get to the point where you know it gets released, or who knows? I mean, obviously, like you said, like theaters are not entirely open, but there are a few that are open. I believe. I don't know any personally, but there are a few that are open. So maybe we'll kind of see that kind of update as it goes, or maybe there'll be like a streaming option for this too. Which I mean, I wouldn't doubt it at this point.
I mean, I doubt this, but Netflix has Croods and like the Croods cartoon on their streaming service. So if they would release it on Netflix, I think that would be like a bold and like a big move because like that would, I mean, that would easily be like the number one movie on Netflix whenever it would release.
Yeah,
It would definitely like get kids and families watching it together. And yeah, I mean, also this whole like with the belt, I thought it was gonna be like that generic like pink sort of like female opposite character, and like there was gonna be like a whole little romance thing going on, kind of like in Ice Age when um the squirrel has like a opposite crush on the female squirrel, but I don't think it's gonna be that. Hopefully it isn't.
yeah. How do you feel about like what we've seen in the trailer though? Like, do you feel like it's good? Do
Yeah,
you?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't really know how I would have done the sequel, and I think the direction they took is good. And I mean, I think it's a good like sort of direction because DreamWorks has a lot of movies that were underrated or like not a lot of people went to check out in theaters. For example, like Megamind or Rise of the Guardians or I mean, I guess you could say kind of the Croods. And I think those films deserve more exploring because like I get it, like it all comes down to box office, but the movies are really good and they deserve more
Praise
like exploration.
and praise, and maybe
Yeah,
maybe more like topics on them, because I mean this is basically a kids movie, but I'm sure it's gonna kind of
yeah,
break down those barriers a little bit more than it normally would have.
yeah. Like not sure if you checked out Rise of the Guardians, but I thought that was a really good movie and it would have been great to see a sequel or at least like a series or something. Kind of like how the whole Kung Fu Panda trilogy has like grew up with like ages and the audience, but with these movies, they just like released them like 10 years later.
And that's interesting
And
because I mean you can
yeah,
clearly see there's a couple adult jokes. I mean not a lot from the trailer, but I'm guessing that it'll kind of be hinted. You know.
yeah, because like, I mean, if you like watch The Croods back in 2013 and like you're watching this trailer now, like you've obviously grown since then, so you would assume that DreamWorks could think have that in mind and sort of play that into the movie and know that they have both a younger audience and a more grown up audience that has grown up with the movie and when it first released.
Yeah. And also direction of the movie obviously changed, so we might even get to see like more movies after this, maybe. With the direction changes of, and kind of adding another side of, I don't know if you want to call it culture, but the new humans that they find, which could be potentially like a new culture or like a new like
Yeah.
area.
And to finish off, I think the cast in the first movie was really good, and it's great to see that they're all back. And we have some new voice actors in, like Peter Dinklage, so that's nice to see. Um, do you have any more things to add, Stormy?
Other than that, I think it'll be a pretty good movie, and hopefully it'll be able to obtain to all audience ages, which I'm kind of looking at it now, with the trailer and everything, and kind of thinking that it,
Yeah.
it might be able to do that pretty well, so.
Yeah, and hopefully it's a nice, faithful sequel, and I wouldn't say it lives up to the wait, because it's been like 7 years, almost a whole decade. But hopefully it's good and it doesn't feel like a whole letdown. But we'll see in November as of now.
Do you have anything else to add?
No,